Showtime. It's that time of the week. My favorite time of the week. Showtime. Live stream time. Here we are with our beautiful audience that keeps getting more beautiful and larger. And we have an announcement. I have an announcement that I think will be of interest. I kind of want to wait for more people to come in. Oh, there it is in the chat. The link to my brand new, launched 1 hour ago, Substack. So I am back in the writing business. I have a long piece from my inaugural post on World War II, Winston Churchill, the whole debate around Daryl Cooper and Douglas Murray and the giant brouhaha over the last, 7 or 8 months since Daryl was on Tucker Carlson about how Winston Churchill was really the hero, and anything said to the contrary must come from an anti-Semitic or Nazi or stupid or ignorant place. So I have a very elaborate rebuttal to those people, not really defending Daryl Cooper, because he and I think, have different arguments, but he didn't really present the full argument, at least not in Tucker Carlson, not even any kind of argument. He just sort of made assertions, which is fine, but he didn't have a chance to. Well, this is the full argument. If you want to get a primer on why Churchill, and I don't use the word villain, I don't like that sort of moralizing term, but I think he was the chief protagonist, progenitor, creator of the World War of the 1940s, meaning that he transformed regional, relatively small regional wars in Eastern Europe into a global war that killed 65 plus million people. He and Roosevelt, of course, but Churchill was I'd say the primary instigator, certainly around the European war, whereas Roosevelt had been wanting to go to war with Japan since literally he was a teenager. So the two of them, and Churchill had a lifelong commitment to going to war with Germany. So when they got together, the war was on fire. Hitler is, of course, not without blame, and I don't say that Roosevelt and Churchill are responsible for the Holocaust. That would be stupid. But I do say, and I will continue to say, that they guaranteed the fulfillment of the Holocaust through their unnecessarily belligerent policies toward Germany and Japan. But much of that, the basic arguments, are in the new inaugural post on my Substack. Thaddeus Russell is the name of my Substack. Easy to find, and there is the link right there in the chat, thaddeusrussell.substack.com. Go check it out. You can read the first half of my article for free, and if you want to read the whole thing, it's a really cheap monthly subscription. I will then very shortly have a follow-up post on Franklin Roosevelt's contributions to World War II, the greatest catastrophe in human history. So that'll be something to look forward to. And these are both previews of my forthcoming book from Grove Atlantic Press, which is now in production. I'm glad to say we don't have a publication date, although we were looking at particular dates now, but it is in production. So that book is happening. So if you want to get the preview of this book that many of you have heard about for a very long time, go to my Substack. And there's also quite a bit of new stuff that's not in the book, actually, in my Substack as well. But I'll be also posting about other topics, the stuff that we talk about here. I will get into philosophy. I probably will get into some psychology, psychoanalysis, cultural analysis, things like that. So I'm really excited to get back into regular writing, public writing, something I used to do. That used to be my primary occupation, as a matter of fact. And it's nice. And we will also be doing videos from there. We're trying to figure out how we're going to host Unreported there, but we probably will in some way or another. At least Unreported will be linked to it. And Unregistered Academy will be linked to it as well. And of course, if you want to get, I didn't mention this. If you want to get the full story, my full story on World War II, the only place to go right now is Unregistered Academy, our course on World War II, which is called World War II, The Great Blowback. Go to unregisteredacademy.com and you'll see it right there on the courses page. It is currently, and always has been, I think this is right, always been our most popular course, the most popular course I've ever taught. So do all that, everybody. Check out, and the point here, and this is, I argue, and I would even think that people on the opposite side of this question, like Douglas Murray, would argue the same thing, which is that the common public perception of World War II and who the good guys were and who the bad guys were is the most important cultural construct in the world, because it supports, buttresses, justifies the American empire of the last 100+ years. And so without the official story of the World War II firmly in the minds of Americans and Western people in general, there is no reason to extend our empire of saviors. We have pretended to be the savior empire, but if we were actually not the good guys in the most important conflict that founded this empire, then we have no justification to launch these many, many wars to maintain and extend it. So this is why it is, I do think it is the most crucial cultural question of our time, and it has been for many, many decades. What do we think about World War II? So anyway, I have some long answers to that question. Check out my Substack and go to Unregistered Academy and check out our course on World War II. So that's exciting. And I got to plug in my computer before I run out of power. What do you want to do today?
Yeah. The chat is already asking about India and Pakistan.
Why is this not?
They're asking if that is real. Is something actually happening? We got that coming up.
Brown people are never real. Next question.
Oh, I said that when there was like a new variant of COVID coming out from India. I was like, India's not even a real place. Like, don't even give that any attention at all. You know, if the news serves to oppress you, just ignore the news. Just pretend it doesn't exist. It's as simple as that, and your life's a lot easier. Your mic's unplugged or you're muted right now, Thad. Yeah.
So sorry. The thing is with India and Pakistan, that has been sort of true in that conflict has remained somewhat isolated, not entirely, and I want to talk about this, somewhat isolated from the major conflicts in geopolitics of the last 100 years, meaning it's somewhat been separate from the Cold War, and it's somewhat been separate from, there we go, now it's working, separate from, the major sort of coalitional conflicts like between NATO and Russia, etc. So it's kind of been off on its own, and it's also largely around Kashmir, which is sort of definitionally an isolated area. So it's been an isolated topic. But I think it's important for people to know the relevance for Americans, which is that, once again, even though this is a relatively isolated conflict from us, we've had a lot to do with it, what's going on right now. So people might remember that it was about a year ago on this very show, we did a lot of discussion about the plight of Imran Khan, the Pakistani politician who the CIA basically set up. Most likely. I mean, we don't have smoking gun proof, but this is almost for sure. Encouraged, set up the Pakistani government to put him in jail, which they did. So he's in prison now. And the CIA, the US, turned against him because he got friendly with Russia. And in fact, I believe he was in Moscow on the day of the invasion of Ukraine, meeting with Putin to work out deals, economic deals between Pakistan and Russia. So that, of course, in our new Cold War, that's not acceptable. And so that they literally had him put in prison for this. He also was unusual among Pakistani politicians at the time. This is in 2022, for wanting a rapprochement, maybe a détente with India. He was actually a peacemaker on that particular issue. And this, again, was unusual among Pakistani politicians. So there was a chance when Imran Khan was in power or about to hold power that the India-Pakistan conflict could at least be abated. And also, relations between Russia and the subcontinent are not a bad thing, because the subcontinent, the people in South Asia, end up getting lots of oil and gas, and they tend to live better lives because of it. So anyway, that's part of our contribution. And we could call for, if Americans knew anything about geopolitics, if they knew anything about American foreign policy, if they knew anything about anything, they might, issue some protests calling for the U.S. to get Imran Khan out of prison and allow him to run for office again, because that is probably the best, surest way, or the most efficient way to reduce the tensions in this conflict. The other piece of it is that Modi, the head of India, is somewhat of a Hindu nationalist. I guess he is a Hindu nationalist. He's not, I don't think he's literally called for separating a Hindu nationalist state from the Muslim population in India, but he's, his sensibilities, and I think his general politics, you could call that. So, he's he's harsh toward his Muslim neighbors. I guess we didn't mention, I just sort of assumed people knew this, but in the news, it was like a week ago, right? There were terrorist attacks. What precipitated this set of missile attacks across the border in Kashmir? There was a horrific terrorist attack. It was last week, right?
It was April 26th, I believe. So a little over a week.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think we don't know much about it, but I think we know that it was an Islamist group that came in from Pakistan, although even that's not for sure. And the Pakistan government has, of course, denied any involvement. But it's most likely for various reasons. Although, again, these days, I've heard some theories, that Israel was involved, this theory there. I don't know. I mean, it could be a false flag of some kind, although they killed 27 civilians, tourists.
I mean, those are rookie numbers for Israel, but
well, it's rookie numbers for a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of countries, but certainly for Israel these days.
Yeah,
they kill that many children in a morning. I'm not kidding. Have you seen the numbers from Gaza?
I remember
in the last couple of weeks, just recently.
Yeah.
No, since the ceasefire, just now.
Well, 400. I heard 400.
Yesterday they bombed. Just you could see it. It was like a middle of a street in Gaza City. Bunch of kids, bunch of women, just lying with their heads blown off in the streets. Cool, man. It's great. Anyway, I just hope this continues, because it's so entertaining watching all that death in the name of my people. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know.
I thought you were a post-racialist. I thought you were
except when it's convenient for me politically.
Only for other people.
then I'm either Jewish or black or Irish, whatever's or Mormon.
Whatever's politically convenient.
Whatever's useful at the moment, of course, dude. What do you think? What the fuck else are you going to use it for? So anyway, yeah, no. So in response to that attack against these Indian civilian tourists in Kashmir 2 weeks ago by probably Islamist militants, they call them terrorists, they call them probably from Pakistan. Again, these are probables, we don't know. Modi launched a series of missile attacks against Pakistan. So there's footage of missiles hitting inside Pakistan. I don't know exactly how many, but several. And thank you, Finest City Cycling. You have excellent taste. So and then of course the final and ultimate piece is that, and I'm sure most people know this, is that of course Pakistan and India have had nuclear weapons, like, and apparently fairly substantial nuclear arsenals, not just one or two bombs, but they could really probably level all of Asia if they got busy. They each have substantial nuclear arsenals, which they've had for decades now, I think since the 70s or 80s. And you have, as I said, a Hindu nationalist as president of India, and you have various hardcore Islamist groups and factions in Pakistan and even within the Pakistani government. They hate each other. They have forever. Since the partition of 47, they've hated each other. Yeah, so we could have, a nuclear war is the final point here. America, people like me get blamed for blaming America for everything in the world, which is sort of a stupid critique generally, because America has been the dominant hegemon superpower in the world for more than a century. So stands to reason that most things, or a lot of things in the world that have happened, would be somewhat at the feet of America. But anyway, in this case, it's a mix, of course. This is not one of those sort of American produced wars. But the United States, as I said, has contributed in many ways. And also, by the way, here's the other piece of it, I guess, that people should know, is that U.S. policy.
Well, here's the thing. It's only relevant in as much as we're Americans. Like, it's only as relevant as our involvement in it. So that's the most relevant thing to bring up. If we contributed it in any way, it's what's relevant to talk about. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, so the U.S. was sided officially with Pakistan in many ways, and had the CIA and the ISI, which is the Pakistani Secret Intelligence Service, had a very tight relationship. I think they still do, but they were very close to Pakistan in the war on terror, right? The Pakistani government, I should say. And that changed about 10-ish years ago, when there was a shift toward China. So under the Obama administration, remember the pivot to Asia, the pivot to China. Part of that was to pivot to India as a new ally, because it was believed in the administrations, in Obama, Trump, and Biden administrations, and that India will be the major bulwark against China. So now they've been pivoting away from Pakistan toward India, which is another sort of element in this fight. So America's involved for sure, and could end it like it could do with almost any conflict in 5 minutes. And so it is relevant, and there are things that Americans should know and could do to avert what could be, nuclear winter for all of us. How's that? Decent?
Yeah. It's always weird whenever a conflict breaks out and the entire internet starts picking sides out of entertainment. But this is another weird one where it's like the lines aren't quite exactly drawn, obviously. I do want to bring up the story in relation to our favorite congressman, Shree Thanadar.
There's no good guy in the India-Pakistan. I mean, we're talking about the governments here. We're talking about the governments and some Islamist terrorist factions. That's who we're talking about. Yeah. So there's I could care less about any of them. Mm-hmm. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, Shree, poor guy.
Shree no one showed up. No one showed up to what?
He had a little rally, and no one showed up to it. He's standing on stage by himself, talking to nobody. His recent rally.
Oof. I was going to say,
racist, man.
This is a reason why some people on the right are bringing up some skepticism about immigration, in that we are importing the conflicts of the entire world into the empire of America. And here you have a foreign-born representative lobbying for the United States to stand with India and to protect India at all costs against these terrorist attacks.
His hair is as large as his head.
I know. It's yeah.
I've never seen that ratio of hair to head before. Like it's 50-50. That's amazing. He should get some relaxer or something. Or is it just that it, like the top of his head like goes up real high under there? I don't know. Indians aren't known for their what do you call it? Their hair doesn't go outward. It's straight. How do you have hair like that if you have straight Indian hair?
I don't know if he's got a conch like back in the day, or
okay. Yeah, he looks like a fan of Malcolm. I mean, in an
Uh-huh.
attempt to assimilate into American culture, maybe you watch the movie.
Mhm.
And
Or
he's like,
he's
I'm a rock the conch.
auditioning to be a Indian Beetle.
Mm.
There's a lot of movies coming out of
I
London
just,
right now.
I mean,
Imagining if the Beatles were Indian.
I'm just gonna continue to be racist right now. When I saw this guy, I didn't know about him, and I thought it was a joke. I thought it was an SNL skit.
Those are
He
correct
couldn't
instincts.
I was like, even in this day and age, this guy couldn't possibly have been elected to the United States Congress, but he was, and he is. Yeah. Anyway, would you want to play something, or you just want to?
No. I'm just
No, we
showing
don't
a
need to listen.
statement
We
here.
don't
Yeah.
need to listen to him. No,
Mhm.
because this is a racist channel, and we don't do stuff like that. Anyway,
It's-
yeah. I mean, the thing is, I'm on his side on that issue. You're not,
Mhm.
but I am.
I'm just saying we're on the immigration issue in this context. The criticism is that the more immigration we have, the more all of the conflicts of the world are brought home and domesticated. So if India and Pakistan goes off, you have to worry about the Indian and Pakistani populations here at home getting along. And if you have if you have Indian-born nationals in your Congress, here they are lobbying for our involvement outside in the world.
Well, this goes back to some history, right? Your point is a point that was made in the 1890s when the United States was debating whether to invade Cuba and the Philippines and colonize them, right? And take control, and Guam, the Spanish-American War, right? And the opponents of that were the Socialist Party, the handful of anarchists who were running around at the time, Mark Twain for his own reasons, but mostly it was Southern racist, segregationist politicians. I mean, when I say racist, I mean they were for racial segregation. They were the most opposed to imperialist wars around the world, and they said exactly what you just said, which is that once you go to war there, you're going to build a bridge to that country, and next thing you know, those damn Browns from the Philippines are going to show up in LA, and guess what happened about 10 years later? Filipinos flooded into my state, California. God bless them, though. I love Filipinos. They have added a ton to California culture, and I'm so happy they did come here. But, I wish it weren't at the expense of killing thousands and thousands of them with machine guns. Anyway, yeah, the Anti-Imperialist League was formed. That was an organization that I want to renew. And let's do this, audience. We're gonna restart the Anti-Imperialist League. It's almost a very similar political formations going on right now between the left and the right against empire. That really reminds me of that time. But the Anti-Imperialist League, then, as it will now, was made up in substantial part by outright racists who didn't want to be mixing with other people around the world, even if it was conquering them. Because you're not going to be able to kill all of them. And so you're going to end up, some of you are going to have to live in those countries, which the British did in India and Pakistan and all over the world, right? In Africa, across Africa. You had all these white British people, generations of them. How many Brits have you heard of who were born in India or South Africa or Rhodesia, right? I mean, it was a big thing. And then, because they became a part of the Commonwealth, once you make them a part of the British Empire, they're now the part of the Commonwealth, and they now have rights to, come back to the metropole, which they did after World War II in huge numbers. Jamaicans, West Indians, but then Pakistanis, Indians, Africans of various kinds, Nigerians in huge numbers, all the English Commonwealth. Browns and blacks flooded into London and made London a much better city, by the way. And every single attractive woman I saw in London the year I lived there was not English. They were all from the Commonwealth countries.
Have you seen that scene in Patton where General Patton's making a speech to all these old ladies in London, and he's like trying to woo them over, and he's talking about how England is known for their good-looking women, and it pans to these overweight women with big buck teeth. They're all fawning over General Patton.
They look like can openers. I never understood that. I would sit there on the tube and just stare at them and wonder why do you all look like this? Yeah, but the Indian and African women were lovely, comparatively. Anyway, yes, the good old racist anti-imperialists didn't want any of that, and they had I get it. It was logical, and so it's an odd coalition. I don't love being in league with outright racists like that, but I'll do it because I don't care about racists who will leave other people alone. Racists who want to leave other people alone, right? Which would be the isolationist racists, the anti-imperialist racists, the anti-war racists, and we're seeing a renewal of those people right now, aren't we?
Well, yeah. Again, I don't like the term
Good.
racist. It's
it is.
It's invented. It's a total construct. It's invented to oppress people and keep them from acting in their own interests. I was going to ask. We didn't get to. Well, there's a couple of ways to get to this. Richard Henry Pratt, General Richard Henry Pratt. We didn't talk about this in the race and racism course, but the first cited use of the term racism was General Pratt talking about the boarding schools that he was setting up for American Indians at the turn of the 20th century. And he said, all these Indians are racist. They don't want to integrate with white people. They don't want to become like us. They have a preference for their own race. And we have to kill the Indian to save the man. So
same with Malcolm X.
Yeah, it's
right. Black nationalists, black pride, black power. That was all racial and also expressing a clear preference. More than that, expressing black superiority in many cases, but certainly a preference for black culture, black people over whites. Yeah. No, I know. Right. As long as they leave us alone, I'm happy to have racists among us.
But I mean, anybody can understand the interests of American Indians to not want to go to boarding schools and integrate into white culture, right? And to label that as racist is like,
oh, I see. Well, I mean,
it's a total construct to get people to submit to a homogenizing view of the world. Like,
it's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Again, one I'd never really thought of. It's a great point. I'm trying to process it right now. I mean, it's still technically racism, but the Indians expressing. I mean, well, no, it's not necessarily racism. I mean, what they're saying is they're just simply expressing a preference for their own culture. If they could have put it in racial terms, they could have said, "I don't like the white man's culture. I prefer my own culture." Then that's more racist. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of a nationalism or a particular tribalism. Obviously, it's all tribalism. I mean, racism is a form of tribalism. Tribalism is the big category for these things. And tribalism has been identified, and here you go, as the problem by Western elite culture for 200 years now, right? I mean, classical liberalism is against it. Modern liberalism is against it. Some variants of conservatism are okay with it, but even conservatives are not really fans of tribalism. It's gotten a really bad name, and I am not sure what I think about it, but we should probably move on. But I want you to say something about this, and let's go to the news.
Well, one more example I've been wanting to get at is, the Indiana example for a couple, you've always brought up that Indiana has a long history of the Ku Klux Klan. Not really a long history, but in the 1920s, the Ku Klux Klan was arguably most popular in Indiana as an anti-immigrant group.
Yep.
Now, if you look at the people who were in it, I would argue that they were kind of white Protestants, people you'd call progressives in a lot of ways nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
But sure, separatist in a lot of ways, explicitly pro-white, explicitly pro-nationalist, all that. And I think the interesting thing about them is that they were more about machine politics than anything else. If you studied how they worked at that time. And it was more just like a membership scam, like just trying to, just like any other group at that time. But
Yep.
so one of those Ku Klux Klan leaders had a kid, and that kid was really ashamed of the history in Indiana of the Ku Klux Klan and said, "You know what? I should start a racially integrated church, and I should help everybody just get along and move on past this." And then he moved to San Francisco, and then he moved to Guyana.
Oh,
Jim Jones.
let's go. I was thinking, who is this?
And
yeah.
If you look at, like, literally, the Ku Klux Klan in Indiana did not really kill anybody. There's a couple unsolved murders, maybe one in the 60s.
That's true.
But
yes,
there's no evidence for mass lynchings, anything like the South.
Right.
It wasn't that kind of thing.
Correct.
Now, who killed more black people? Tens of thousands of Ku Klux Klan members, or Jim Jones, who had a heavily black church.
Michael, he did it out of love, though.
He did it out of love. So it doesn't count.
He was taking them to a higher place. What do you mean?
He was bringing out the revolution.
He wasn't killing them. He was taking them to a higher place. People from my neighborhood, I've mentioned this before, I'll say it again, that the People's Temple was centered right where I lived as a kid in Southwest Berkeley and North Oakland, right there. If you look at a map of the Ashby BART station, that's where I lived, half a block from there, and all around that area was where the People's Temple did its recruiting. It's a totally working class, mostly black neighborhood, not entirely, but mostly black neighborhood, and that's why People's Temple was it 80% black or something like that? But yeah, they were all Berkeley and Oakland people, or most of them were. But anyway, yeah, and they went to a higher place. So why are you judging? And that's different than Klans. No,
I'm just saying, if your metric,
but you don't understand, dude. The difference is, no way, you don't get it, man. Klansmen hated black people. Jim Jones loved them. Why don't you get this? It's about your feelings about them. It matters.
I'm just saying, yeah.
It's not about whether you make them drink. It's not about whether you make them drink poison. It's how you feel about black people that matters. Where have you been?
It's how you proclaim to feel about them in public, and
well, that's the cynical way of looking at it. Yes.
I'm just saying.
Oh God, racial liberalism is it is the most absurd ongoing circus in American life. It's been going since World War II. No, it wasn't really a thing before the war, but what is it, 80 years now? We've had 80 years of this nonsense.
But I would argue, as a fact, minorities are safer around people who explicitly hate them than people who are radical egalitarians.
Awesome. Let's do this. Here's a guy who loved the Negro, Harry S. Truman, President of the United States. Why do we say that Harry S. Truman loved the Negro? Well, he did one of the most amazing civil rights things ever. He integrated the armed forces in 1947. So now, previously, right, blacks, I love this, blacks were relegated to non-combat duty. So they didn't serve really in any combat, almost no combat roles in World War II and I. They cleaned latrines and they did they drove trucks and stuff like that. And I did a project with 20 black World War II veterans. And I asked them, I said, what did you guys think about that? They're like, hell yeah, we didn't want to fucking fight. I said, what do you think about this war? It was the white man's war. They said, it was not our war. I was glad to be cleaning toilets instead of dying on the fucking front lines. So Harry S. Truman is like, wait, we got all these Negroes, with bodies that can shoot guns and they can die for us instead. Why don't we get them into the army? And it's like Tom Sawyer painting the fence and pretending he likes it to convince the neighborhood kids to paint the fence. And it was that. I was like, you look, black people, you get to be full Americans. You get to serve in the army. You get to go die. And guess what? We got a war queued up for you right now. You're going to go to Korea right now. Get on the plane. You're going to Korea. 5 years later, or 3 years after the desegregation order, black men are fighting on the front lines in Korea and dying for nothing. except national glory. So yeah, right. If you get down with the progressives and the liberals who love you, you'll be looking at a machine gun fired by some brown person. And you should be listening to Muhammad Ali instead of Harry S. Truman and Lyndon Baines Johnson and all these crackers who will simply get you killed. And am I being hyperbolic, Michael Weimer? No. I mean, look at the last 80 plus years. That's all it has gotten you. That kind of integration. Yeah, you want to be in the armed forces? Right. And next up is the women. Feminists. Hello. And you've seen them kind of fight over this, skirmish over this when it comes up occasionally, like whether women should be drafted, whether women should be in combat. You know, Pete Hegseth will make sure that doesn't happen. But like feminists should be, why aren't we what? They should be screaming to be put into combat duty. Women should have, there should be women should be equal numbers in the Marines. The Marine Corps should be 50% female. Because we want to die for America too in imperialist foreign wars. This, ladies and gentlemen, has been the logic of identity politics and racial liberalism for about a century in this stupid country. Yeah, I mean, if that's your vision of the good life, if that's your politics, is to get included into a killing machine and a death machine, have at it. I would just like for you to be aware of that as you do it. But yeah, it's an amazing confluence of identity politics and American imperialism. Quite a partnership those two have had. All right. Do you want to talk about Trump's war on children?
I thought we would pivot from there to the vicarious race war that's happening through GiveSendGo.
Let's keep the racism going. Yes.
Yeah.
We've been off our game lately. We haven't been racist enough. Let's continue this. Yeah.
So we did not cover Karmelo Anthony the past couple weeks, but yeah, we never got to him on. But this all started. What was it? April 6th, about a month ago. Karmelo Anthony, 16-year-old kid, sitting in a tent during, was it a rainy day? I think that's why he was inside the tent or something. But
it was just, I think, for the sun, Texas.
Okay,
is my
Texas
thought.
sun.
Yeah.
But yeah, the star quarterback Austin Metcalf,
linebacker, middle line. You're messing up the details.
Okay,
middle linebacker. Okay,
middle linebacker.
This is actually significant. No, actually, it is because he was 6'0" and 200. He was a big, thick guy. Mm-hmm. Middle linebacker. Middle linebackers are like human fire hydrants. Really thick and usually like the toughest guy on the team too. Kind of have to be super tough to play middle linebacker. And Karmelo Anthony, this is significant, everybody. I know you racists want to hang the black kid, and Karmelo Anthony is like he plays football too, but he plays wide receiver and he's like 160 or something. So he's a skinny little guy. That's important in the story.
We are pro skinny on this show. This is
well, we have
a show for the interests of tall, skinny people everywhere. That mm-hmm. we will die on that banner.
Right. But we even have solidarity with skinny black guys though. Is that?
Yeah. Snoop Dogg taught me he was the first guy to teach me to be proud to be skinny, and right and the first person to really have swag as a skinny person was Snoop Dogg. Taught me a lot there.
Okay, nephew.
But yeah, so Austin Metcalf wants something from this tent. Karmelo says,
"No, you're messing it up."
What? Okay, you tell.
No, it was just it was at Metcalf's school.
Yeah,
it's a track meet. There's seats under this tent. Apparently, that tent though is reserved for only members of the school. Mm-hmm. And Karmelo Anthony was sitting there unauthorized. He was from another high school. Austin Metcalf, the big linebacker, comes up to Karmelo Anthony, says, "Hey, you can't stay here. You got to leave." And Anthony says, "What are you going to do? Make me try it." Something like, "Make me and see what happens." And then Metcalf put his hands on him. I believe, yes, he put his hands on him. And Anthony, but Anthony, I think twice warned him and said, basically, if you do something, you're going to find out. And he was, I think, pointing, and it was clearly a warning of that he would enact violent self-defense if he were touched. That's clear. And Metcalf, nonetheless, shoved him. At which point, Anthony reached into his bag, pulled out a knife, and stabbed the guy in the heart and killed him. I mean, it's an interesting issue, actually. I don't think it's like super clear cut, and we need to see a video. We need to see more evidence, but like based on that, which I think that's pretty much the story that we have, it's a tricky one. I mean, I'm leaning toward Karmelo Anthony's side on this, but I would need to see more of it. It's Texas, right? I mean, it's a whatchamacallit. What's it called? The laws that allow you to, there's a name for the laws that allow you to use lethal force in protection of your property and your person. God, what's the name of that?
Are you thinking of stand your ground laws?
Stand your ground. Yeah. There's also yes. So there's an ethic in Texas, right, that is consistent with what Karmelo Anthony did. It's interesting. In California, we have such a different ethic around this that I'm just saying the population as a whole, the general culture, would side more with Metcalf, actually. But in the South, in the allegedly racist South, the anti-gun control South, right? No. Actually, the culture is generally going to be for Anthony because they don't play that shit. That's why they have guns in the South, because they want to make it very clear that if you encroach upon my person in any sort of aggressive or physical or violent way, you could face lethal consequences. And that's not a bad thing. And I think, again, based on what we know, the details, I think I'm on Anthony's side. But you're not.
No, I'm not. No.
Because you love linebackers, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah. I mean, in general, in self-defense cases, there's a proportionality thing where the first person to introduce a weapon is usually in the wrong. And lethal force has to be like against lethal force. Like, was Austin like, "Hey, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to choke you out with my bare hands"? Or was he just saying, "Hey, I'm going to move you out of my tent. Like, I'm just going to shove you out of my tent"? And that's what it seemed like was good.
What if you're being mugged on the street, but the guys don't say anything about killing you? They're holding a gun in your face and they're telling you to hand over your wallet, and you shoot them.
That's lethal force. Like, pointing a gun at you is lethal force.
Well, what if they're just threatening it? What if they're not? I mean, not even threatening, just saying
brandishing, even.
So what if you get mugged on the street? You can't shoot the kid. You can't shoot the mugger.
You can shoot somebody if they're mugging you. Yeah, typically. If there's a knife or a gun involved. But if they just, yeah.
Cops shoot people. Cops shoot people running away from them.
Yeah, I mean, that's not right, and that's not in police training necessarily, unless that person is going to go out and cause lethal harm to somebody else.
No, cops, I think in every state, are allowed the discretion of determining in the moment whether the person constitutes a threat to the community.
Yeah,
I think that's how they word it.
Yeah.
And if the cop in that split second deems that kid running away is a threat to the community for whatever reason, he can shoot him in the back and kill him, which happens all the time, by the way. That's a very common thing.
Cops have gotten off before, on that. But like by the book, training-wise,
they always get off on it.
Yeah, but that's not what they're trained to do necessarily. That's not. I mean, they fall back on claiming that a lot of times in corrupt cases, but by the letter of the law, it should be this person is a lethal threat to other people, and that's why I'm stopping them.
What I'm saying is, Michael, that I think the use of lethal force,
and he's trespassing to begin with, so you can't, if you're defending your own property, that's one thing, but if you're trespassing somewhere else and somebody's just shoving you out, like, Java Guru in the chat here is talking about a bouncer kicking somebody out of a bar. Like,
Right.
you have the right to expel somebody physically from a place that they're not supposed to be.
Well, but he wasn't staff. He didn't work there.
Yeah, but still, it's kind of,
No.
private security is kind of on the same legal standard.
That's the clear divider between Metcalf and your point there. Yes, if he had been official staff security, of course.
Sure.
But he wasn't. If he were a bouncer, sure. But he wasn't.
Yeah.
He was just a kid putting his hands on another kid. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you put your hands on somebody,
neither of us have the full facts, and the jury's going to
put your hands on somebody in an aggressive way.
Yeah.
I am not super. I mean,
again, if it's just hands, there's no reason to get a knife here. And the guy should have left. Like, obviously, the guy shouldn't have been here, and he should have left. Or he should have said, when he says, "Hey, you're not supposed to be in this tent," you're supposed to say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and leave the tent. Like, it's that easy. I feel like
you know who totally disagrees with you, right?
Who?
Hotep Jesus.
Hotep. Yeah, Hotep's probably on the self-defense. Hotep defends school shooters, man. He's like, I thought you all were 2A here.
No, he doesn't. He does.
He has in the past, a couple times.
Oh. Well, I don't know about that, but he's definitely on Anthony's side in this one. Always has been.
Yeah.
He was alone among the
Nice.
racist right wing on that.
Yeah, I'm not super committed to Austin Metcalf. I think this is pretty cut and dry. I'm not super committed to it. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but I'm pretty on the side of Metcalf. But
I want to see a video. Like, I don't know. As I said, I can't speak for sure until I get more evidence. And apparently there's video, which they said they were going to release, and they didn't release it. And I don't know.
Imagine I'm, a 60-year-old black man, and back in my day, we used our hands. We used our hands to solve our fights. That's typically how I see this should play out. But this blew up because there was a big GiveSendGo campaign that Karmelo Anthony's family had that has raised to this day over $500,000. I think it's at $560,000 as of right now. Oh, yeah, $525,000 for the Help Karmelo Anthony official fund. And white people were just lamenting, imagine if the roles were reversed. And if you look at some of the comments on them, they're like, kill Whitey. There's a lot of comments that are basically along those lines. Or just like, I understand you did your thing, man. Good for you. A lot of comments like that. And behavior that seems to be flaunting decency from the Karmelo Anthony family, buying an expensive house, driving expensive cars from this money as it goes to the legal fund as well.
So what you're saying is it sounds like a lot of N-word behavior. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that this is consistent with O.J. Simpson in the cultural milieu, in the anti-hero.
It's N-word behavior. I know. I got you.
Yeah. And that
as they say, N-word shit.
Sure.
That's N-word shit. Right? Feel me?
Yeah. Real.
No, I got you. No,
real. Yeah.
No, I know.
First.
Yes.
Now, coming up from that, I mean,
so what? Wait. So what? So what? So fools are donating money. He needs a good criminal defense, doesn't he? And he's got the odds stacked against him in a lot lot of ways, doesn't he?
Potentially,
and
yeah.
I want him to. Don't you want him to have a good? Maybe you don't. I want him to have a good criminal defense lawyer. I think he deserves it because it's not an ordinary case, obviously, and he's going to have. He's swimming up against the stream in a lot of ways, and so I think that's what it's been said it's for.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, all the shit about him buying like fancy cars and houses with the money are false. I don't know that. Someone said that. I don't know, but someone said that that's all been made up.
Yeah.
Well,
there was an outrage industry from conservative media about this. And I don't like when white people adopt victim consciousness. And that's what I was seeing coming out of this is like, oh, poor us. They were saying Austin Metcalf has his own GiveSendGo. The guy, the real victim. Everybody was crying tears for Austin. And, horrible. Heart goes out to his family, Shouldn't have happened. But the fact that people are vicariously looking at this and self-flagellating and identifying with the victim and saying, oh, how come he gets to have $600,000 and we just, victim consciousness, weakness, it'll justify any horrible thing. So a month later, here we are today, Shiloh Hendrix, a tattooed mother in Rochester, Minnesota. I believe.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
That's key, actually.
It is, yeah. Had an altercation in the playground where she had her toddler apparently had her toys being sifted through and stolen by a allegedly 5-year-old black kid. The investigators are alleging that this is a 10-year-old based off of how tall he is in the video. I'm not sure. And apparently she called him that word that, you said black people use to identify their behavior. That word that apparently she used that word, calling an epithet after her toys were stolen. And a Somali immigrant pulled out his phone and said, hey, did you just do this? Did you just call her that? And tried to ruin her life. She didn't back down. She said, yeah, I did. What are you going to do about it? She started her own GoFundMe. And now she's rich. As of today, $744,000 raised for her potential legal defense fund. And if you just look at the incentives here, we are basically incentivizing a race war where any perpetrator of racial violence or racial animosity has hundreds of thousands of dollars to gain based off of the vicarious money fighting of the internet, identifying with feelings of oppression here.
So what's it going to be like? Two podcasters attacked by angry black fan.
Yeah. Well,
help us recover.
It's the perpetrator. It's not the victim that gets the money. It's the perpetrator who gets the money in both of these.
Oh, so we got to go attack somebody.
We have to go attack somebody. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, that's way more fun.
We have to go.
Okay. Shit. Now I'm into it. Who do we want to attack?
Who do we want to attack?
What color?
What color?
It's interesting, Somalis, right? And it's funny because I use them as an example all the time and pointing out the idiocy of race thinking. Because it's like, why are they black? How are they similar to like Nigerians? What? Like, have you seen Somalis? Are they and LeBron James are the same race? Exactly why? They look nothing alike. And their cultures are radically different, but they just look. I mean, if you're into racists or into physical sciences and shit and biology, tell me how Somalis are the same race as LeBron James. I don't get that one. It's so funny. I mean, they're not even the same skin tone. Somalis have they're brown, but they have a very different skin tone than West Africans and people of West African descent, and certainly Black Americans. My goodness, it's so ridiculous. But hey, I love Shiloh Hendrix. I hope she gets millions of dollars. I have said for a long, long time that, and it pisses me off that we actually can't say it here because we will get shut down, right?
Well, you've said it quite a bit, actually. If you want to go check the record.
Have I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Never the hard R, though.
I know, but I mean, come on. I think
that's
not going to stop anybody.
YouTube has special censors, and they thought I was black, so they allow it. Because black guys on YouTube, actually, they do censor that anyway.
Well, there's a lot of rap videos on YouTube promoted by Vivo that use it profusely, and
so YouTube allows it if you're black, and they thought because I'm black,
and if UMG is paying a ton of money for you to have it out there, if then yeah.
Having a black name really helps. Just saying. The yeah, so it is. I have said this. I said it in my classes, and I used to use the word a lot in my classes when I was teaching American history. If you teach American history, hello, and you don't use that word, you're not teaching American history, because the N word is the most important word in American history. It is the word that sets us apart from all other countries and all other cultures. The American culture in various ways, at the higher levels, the lower levels, and the mid levels, has always been defined in large part around racial assumptions about what white people do and what white people don't do, and what black people do, what black people don't do, and then the Mexicans and the Asians, whatever. But like, we have in our own minds, not often consciously, but always there, organized our society and our own minds around racial assumptions. White people don't roller skate. White people don't dance. White people don't play basketball particularly well. If they do, it's a fluke. I mean, we can go on, and you internalize these assumptions, right? It goes much deeper than that. But a lot of what BLM was saying is true about the internalized assumptions about blackness and whiteness and how it directs our lives internally. If we do something untoward in white society, one of the things that's said to us, and this was said to me, is that's what niggers do. I had that said to me when I was a teenager. That's what ends do. Yeah. And so it is important. It's been centrally important in determining the contours of American culture, for better and worse. And so if you can't use the damn word, you're treating us all like children. And you're also just obfuscating real American history. We don't have to condemn America by saying that there was this segregationist regime and the N-word was used in nasty ways. And you know me, I have complicated that narrative more than anybody. It is a lot less straightforward than people think about good and evil. But my main thing is not being allowed to say the fucking word has pissed me off more than anything in America's past. That's pissed me off more than the history of slavery. For one thing, most black slaves were fine and happy with slavery and didn't complain one bit and thought they were obliged to be slaves because they thought that they were racially inferior. Look it up. No, me being told that I can't use this word and being punished if I do. There's the threat of punishment, loss of money in this case, loss of a career. When I was a professor, those threats for saying a word that is the most important word in American history. What word in American history is more important than the N-word? You tell me. Ain't one. Except maybe freedom. Freedom has been used a lot in American history, hasn't it? Many different meanings. But the N-word and freedom, those are the two big American words in American politics. Those are the two that we've used the most, that have done the most to shape the way we think about everything and what we do in the world. And so Shiloh Hendrix, I don't care how you use the word. Even if you use it to express your absolute hatred and disgust toward black people, and you use the hard R in doing it, I want you to make millions of dollars in so, because you are the one breaking through. Thank you. You are our martyr. I don't have her feelings. I don't have her thoughts about these things, but I don't care. She's saying the word we all need to talk about. Let's have an adult conversation for the first time about the N-word instead of hiding behind this thing called the N-word. It's so infantilizing. What? That's what we make children do. Oh, honey, don't use that word. Say something else. Use an abbreviation. You can't. What? It's going to harm people? Black people are going to be harmed?
This was the liberal argument between...
If they hear it?
This was the liberal argument from 1960 to 2013. This
Correct.
was what liberals were saying for about 65 years in American history. Like,
Yeah.
that
You're
fuddy-duddy
gonna-
conservatives, paternalists are the ones that get
Black
upset
people will
about
be-
words.
Black people will be harmed if I say a word. Because Black people are children. And so the opponents of the N-word are the actual racists because they treat and think of Black people as children. No Black person I've ever been around has ever given a fuck about hearing the N-word. Never. In fact, my friends, but my friends welcome it in many cases because just like me, they want everyone to act like grown-ups. And if you do happen to think that Black people suck, don't we all want to know it instead of forcing them to be secret about it? Yeah. Talk your shit, bro. Let's hear it. Don't we want to know? Of course it's just so infantilizing. And that is what drives me crazy more than anything, is being treated like a child. So this is why Shiloh Hendrix, I hope, gets rich as shit. Even though she's a racist cracker bitch. I don't care. No, I don't know what she is.
Yeah.
No, I mean it. Yeah, that's what matters here. That's what matters. That we be allowed to say the most important word in American history.
Well, the $750,000 so far is astounding.
Nice.
And it is, I mean, this is the sign of a white racial consciousness emerging for the first time in a long time. I haven't seen an explicitly white racial consciousness like this.
Well, yeah, you have. I mean, isn't this just like the material expression of this movement we've seen bubbling up for a decade or so online?
Yeah.
Right.
In real life. Yeah. But
outright explicit.
This is real
racists, life. I mean, I don't know. You don't like the word, but like people who.
Well, 3 years ago, they were still doing cancellation attempts and they were failing. So I think the pivotal point was when they tried to cancel Joe Rogan with the tape of him saying it on his podcast for years.
Right.
And that failed. And then they haven't really tried to do it again since then. But before that, they took out Papa John. They took out, what is it? They took out, Donald Sutherland. They took out, or Donald Sterling. They took out everybody. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. They took out
the Clippers.
Yeah, the Clippers guy, whatever I mean, too numerous the number of careers that have been ruined by a tape emerging.
Donald Sterling, who has given $1 billion to Black men. Something like that, maybe more, $2 billion to Black men. Mm-hmm. He's made Black men rich. He has made dozens and dozens and dozens of Black men and women rich. That's what Donald Sterling did.
Also, I don't think he ever said the word. I think
for playing basketball, he gave them tens of millions of dollars, made them rich for generations, and he should be pilloried because he used the N-word, which is the word that all of the Black men who work for him use every single day, all day long.
To refer to each other. Yeah.
Correct. And other N-words too. They refer to, they refer to all the N-words with the N-word. Correct. But Donald Sterling, who also, by the way, I remember this, who did Donald Sterling date? I believe exclusively Black women.
That's the thing. I don't think he even said the word. I think he just said, stop taking pictures with Black people because you're dating me right now.
He dated hot Black women.
Yeah.
And for these reasons, we should not like him because he gave billions of dollars to Black men and loved hot Black women. But he used but I would say used the N-word. If anybody deserved to use the N-word, it was Donald Sterling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry. They went after Hulk Hogan. They went after the Netflix CEO. But yeah.
Well, those guys are racists.
A lot of just too numerous people whose careers were actually ruined by this media campaign. Even regular people too, like not even prominent public figures. That was a big thing too when I was in college. Like drunk Snapchats of people saying it at a party would get them expelled. Yeah. So
at Occidental College,
yeah,
in 2015, there was an occupation of the administration building, and students surrounded the building, arm in arm. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of students linked arms, surrounded the building, linking arms, trapping all of the college employees inside the building who were at work that day, forcing the LAPD to come in with helicopters and riot police to forcibly remove these protesters to allow the workers to exit. This huge riot at Occidental College was all instigated, was all initiated because at an off-campus student party a week prior, a white student allegedly said to a black student when a song was played, "Dance, nigga, dance." Guys, remember 2015? I was in the middle of that. And that's what it was about, right? It's the feelings you have, the sentiments you express that matter. You can go and kill brown people by the dozens today. That's fine. But if you express something that is impolite, that is contrary to bourgeois norms, which is what this is about, it's about bourgeois gentility. Anti-racism got built into bourgeois gentility, what it means to be respectable upper-class American in the 60s and 70s and 80s. That's what happened in my generation. That's what we did, right? It became just uncouth and distasteful to say anything like that. Yeah, I mean, it's funny we're now talking about identity politics as if it's like 4 years ago, when in fact, like these days, identity politics is on the ropes, isn't it?
Yeah. And this is, Black TikTok was seeing this and shocked about it, and it's amazing how fast things can change too, and that this is where we're at culturally now. This is like the total reversal. Not entirely,
but you're predicting a race war, which is interesting.
I'm not predicting a race war. I'm just saying
hoping
now
that
a race war is incentivized.
Excited for a race? What's I don't know what's the waiting for a race war.
Prepping.
I mean, I kind of want one because it would be good to thin the herd on both sides, right? You know, if you have, it's like what Harry Truman said about the Soviets and the Nazis in 1941. He said, "Let them fight each other and kill each other off, and then we'll enter the war after they're all dead." You know, let them kill each other because fuck those people, commies and Nazis. You know, that's kind of how I feel about the race warriors on the left and the right. And there's plenty, the Antifas and then the alt-right morons. I mean, they're all morons, of course, but let them fight each other. That's why I love Antifa, and I love
anybody with victim consciousness. Anybody with victim consciousness. That's the thing.
I've said this for years. I mean this. Antifa and the Proud Boys. Gavin McInnes should organize this. He should. You set up like a Hunger Games stadium.
Well, yeah,
outdoors in the woods somewhere in Oregon, and you invite every Antifa anti-racist in the world, and you invite every Proud Boy loving anti-Antifa dude to come, and you just have a stadium, and you can have stands, and we'll live stream it, and they go at it, and we hope that they kill every one of each other.
Well, yeah, the problem is,
really, Antifa, would that not be a bonus for society?
Antifa doesn't actually fight; they just throw bottles of piss from a distance.
Oh no, they fight really poorly. Have you seen them throw punches?
They immediately, as soon as they get punched back, they immediately cry victim.
Have you seen them throw punches? I mean, it is sad. It is sad. Mm-hmm. There was that one guy, a poor guy, that one Proud Boy. I think he's in prison still. A big, burly, redheaded guy. He did the most time, I think, for the Proud Boys. That kid could fight, man. Forget his name, but it was in New York City. They got into a fight with Antifa, right? Mm-hmm. Oh man, I love that video. I want to find that again because he was throwing and landing, and they had no answer for it because they these little skinny kids with like black balaclavas, like they're throwing these water bottles at these like big burly dudes from Nebraska wearing MAGA hats or whatever. And this guy and he was hitting lefts and rights and hooks and overhands and so good.
Yeah.
But he went to prison for years, so that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all right, we got 13 minutes.
Trump's tariffs.
Yeah, man.
I can play the clip on this.
It's interesting that you delayed this story until the very end of the show. Is that just a coincidence? Just an accident?
I've got more on race. I've got a lot more on race.
But like Trump's epic failure and his driving us into the ground and becoming a communist. All of that you didn't want to talk about until we had 10 minutes left.
No, this is really interesting, actually. The cultural change on this.
Dude.
No.
Excuse me? You should have fewer dolls. Really?
You should have fewer dolls.
That's straight out of Stalin.
If there's anything that Donald Trump has ever stood for, it's moderation, it's economic minimalism, it's restraint. It's
until he takes power.
I'm joking.
Until he takes power, and then he's like, "Oh no, wait, hold up, you guys got to consume less. Sorry, because I'm doing this thing with tariffs that might fuck up everything, and so just consume less." Which is what every communist dictator and fascist, this is what Hitler said too. There was hella rationing in Germany in the 30s. They're all about rationing. Anytime they revolutionary, here it is. Look it up, guys. No, listen, look it up. Look up the history. Anytime a revolutionary in the last 300 years, you can go back to the Jacobins, take power, state power, one of the first things they do is ration. So we're at month 3, and Trump is rationing children's toys.
Yeah. I don't see the Trump as a revolutionary figure. I see the Democratic establishment as a Bolshevik revolutionary figure. And that Donald Trump is in the tradition of Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan as just a widely popular democratically elected president that pretty much represents American norms and values. Like, if there's anybody that represents America, it's Donald Trump. You might as well elect Mickey Mouse. You might as well elect Elvis Presley. That's who he is.
Did they get to you? Who have been talking to?
It's
Did JD call you up? Like, what's going on here?
I don't.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's funny.
Are you working for them now? You need to tell me.
Well, no, it's just people were criticizing me for being like not a libertarian last week, and that's fair. Like, oh my God, I'm not ideologically pure. Yeah, I don't really.
You went from like anarcho-capitalist to dark MAGA. You just skipped over the whole middle there.
It's just, if you're going to be voting, you might as well, like, if you want to be substantive, you might as well just, if you want to actually get anything done, you might as well vote Republican to prevent there from being poop on the streets like in San Francisco, and to prevent,
There's still poop on the streets. What has Trump accomplished that matters to you?
I mean, just today he stopped gain of function research. That's pretty big.
He did?
Yeah. Executive order. Today, stop funding gain of function research abroad and to stop it domestically. Okay. Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. That would be good.
Yeah.
All right. What else?
But there's a lot. Let me play the doll clip though, so we know
what has Elon Musk done for me or you or people? Nothing.
Potentially cut $160 billion of maybe $30 billion at the end of the day, but anything's good. $5 billion. You think $5 billion?
That's the latest accounting is $5 billion, maybe.
He said 160. Yeah,
I know. He said all kinds of shit. He said a trillion. He said a trillion.
His goal was 2 trillion and 1 trillion. Yeah.
Right. Sorry, my bad. He said 2 trillion and now it's 5 billion, which is what's Elon. And then also, where's Elon been for 2 weeks now? Haven't seen him at all. What's going on, Elon? Dude, this administration the wheels are falling off. And as the wheels are falling off, they are sending off like authoritarian missiles against the Bill of Rights. It's a catastrophe. I am glad that his approval ratings are the lowest of any president in American history. Do you know that?
I can't trust that at all. That's not true.
It's completely true. Since they've done those polls, yeah, it is. He's way underwater. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's just a nonstop catastrophe now. And listen, you remember me, the first 2 weeks, I was practically crying about about him, like, being anti-war with Zelensky. I was into it. And the USAID stuff, fabulous for the wrong reasons, but I was for it. But ever since then, it's been a daily walking catastrophe. I don't know how else to, like, what's been good? The tariffs are not working, and he changes the tariffs every day.
Well, this still remains to be seen. Like, we still haven't had.
True.
Yeah, this still
true.
Yeah, right. But let me play the clip here. This is Trump doubling down on the doll rhetoric that a little 11-year-old girl doesn't need 30 dolls. She could do well with 2.
You need less. You all need less. It's a great message. Go ahead.
I know. Here we go. This was on Meet the Press. Here we go. Come
this
on.
week got a lot of attention. You were at your cabinet meeting. You said, quote, I'm going to quote what you said, maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30 dolls.
Yeah.
And maybe the 2 dolls will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. Are you saying that your tariffs will cause some prices to go up?
No, I think the tariffs are going to be great for us because it's going to make us rich.
But you said some dolls are going to cost more. Isn't that an acknowledgement that some prices will go up?
I don't think a beautiful baby girl that's 11 years old needs to have 30 dolls. I think they can have 3 dolls or 4 dolls. Because what we were doing with China was just unbelievable. We had a trade deficit of hundreds of billions of dollars with China.
When you say they could have 3 dolls instead of 30 dolls, are you saying Americans could see empty store shelves?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they don't need to have 30 dolls. They can have 3. They don't need to have 250 pencils. They can have 5.
Come on now. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, I was talking about how I'm black, but Donald Trump, and I used to give lectures about this before he was a politician. I used to give lectures at Columbia about how Trump is black culturally. It's not an accident that rap songs were littered with positive references to Donald Trump before he ran for president. Rappers have loved him. Think about Trump towers. Think about Trump hotels. Think about the Trump airplane. Think about the interior of his own houses and Mar-a-Lago. What does it look like? It looks like what Kanye West would shoot in, what Drake would shoot in. It's all sort of like this grandiose, sort of faux regal, gilded, gold-plated, aristocratic luxury, right? That the white WASP middle class disdains. Ew, that's tacky. It's like Donald Trump's world is all decorated the way like a penthouse in Las Vegas is. It's Liberace. It's actually a working class culture, which oddly he has cultivated, which is very consistent with black working class culture, which is about self-aggrandizement, grandiosity, lots of gold, lots of bling, lots of jewelry, lots of, hot chick on your arm, that whole thing, which the whole American tradition, all the way back to Plymouth Rock, has been militating against. Meaning the founding, the official religion and ideology of the United States of America has been Puritan, which is that, yeah, you should make a lot of money. You should work hard and make a lot of money, but you shouldn't show it. You should look like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and Mark Zuckerberg, who wear t-shirts. And they don't show off their cars and their houses and their hot wives, or they don't have hot wives. Yeah, so Donald Trump has been black for a long, long time. Everything's plated in gold. Everything looks like a hip-hop video. Everything. And this is why black men have been really into Donald Trump. It's not an accident, everybody. So he is betraying that glorious tradition. of Black self-expression and self-aggrandizement and rising above one's lot in life assigned to them because of their position in life. It's a rebellious, well, not in his case, but anyway, so I don't like this in this way. He's adopting, like, all of a sudden he's the, oh, now you run shit, Dad. Oh, I see.
Once you're in charge, once you're in charge, once you want things to...
No, we can't, because you're no longer the uncle who visits every once in a while, bringing ice cream with him every time. Now you're the dad who's got to pay for the ice cream every fucking day, right? We understand. This is the problem between revolutionaries and revolutionaries who gain power. If you just are always a revolutionary, you can always be sexy and cool and always have killer critiques and write books and just critique after critique, and it's awesome. But once you take, which was Che Guevara, as soon as Che Guevara took power in Cuba in 1960, he locked up all the gays, he locked up all the black jazz musicians, he made Western music illegal. Oh, and then he, forced people to like work in factories and, you name it. Same with the Bolsheviks, same with the American revolutionaries even. All sorts of coercion happened immediately after they took state power. The state must exert control over its population. It's axiomatic. It doesn't matter what ideology you have. So, of course, Trump, once he fully takes power, which he did this time, in the first term, he didn't really have power, right? Because even his own administration was full of people who were opposed to him. But now he really has power. He made sure that everybody in his administration is a total loyalist to him. And he has Congress, mostly. He really has power. And it's been an absolute authoritarian shit show from the jump. Like every single day, I'm hearing about some like abridgment of the Bill of Rights because he's trying to because that's what he is now. He now is the boss. He now is the establishment. And what the boss and the establishment, and especially the state, need to do, not because they're evil, because they need to do to maintain their position, they need to control us, man. They need to control us against many of the impulses that we would like to express. So we are automatic. As soon as the second that he was inaugurated as president, his interests became antagonistic to ours as individuals. As individuals. He doesn't want us to have free speech, clearly. Clearly. Because we're going to say things that challenge what he believes in and what his base believes in and what his politics depends upon, right? He doesn't want us to be doing particular behaviors that might not even be illegal, but that he'll deport people over and send them to some dungeon, which is like, it's like a non sequitur. Wait, what? This guy is, he's a bad guy and he's an illegal immigrant. Okay, deport him. Okay, we can argue about that. Oh, but you're going to send him to this special gulag prison in a country he's not even from? Wait, what? It's pure sadism, man. But it also, again, comes from being the owner of the state. And this is why you should always be a revolutionary, but never want to win. Once you win, you're going to become just like the bad guys. And with that, Michael Weimer, I'm going to leave it to you. Yeah. You're going to take us out because I'm done.
Yeah. Again, I don't think we're properly analyzing the long-term goals here and the policy moves at play on any of this stuff.
When we say we, you mean me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I think this. I mean, myself too, because we never have time for it. But
my bad.
Yeah.
Read my Substack.
Yeah, there's a play here, but a couple little things. Did you see Anna Paulina Luna just introduced a bill today to repeal the Patriot Act?
Yes, I did. I did see her in a bikini.
To repeal the Patriot Act. She has a bill.
Really?
Introduced, today to repeal the Patriot Act. Yeah.
Am I reading the wrong news sources? Like,
no, it's just.
You're getting like the cool Trump news sources. I'm getting like the Trump sucks news sources. What?
That's how algorithms work, man. Once you,
that's it.
Yeah.
The algos. Wow. Okay.
And America First killed HR 867. Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz found together to kill the anti-boycott bill that Israel was pushing.
That was big.
Yeah.
That was big. MTG's greatest moment.
Mm-hmm. So I think there's a future in the America First movement for some long-standing progress. Yeah,
man, if America First becomes an actual thing, right, where they actually are America First and actually oppose supporting and propping up other countries, right? When that really happens, my friend, my man, my brother, Michael Weimer, like I am gonna, that's it. I'm good. I will die happy. That is my life's political mission.
And then Matt Walsh, he had that interview with Tucker Carlson recently. Tucker is going back and forth with Ben Shapiro, and so Matt Walsh is the biggest star at the Daily Wire, and so he has to like play nice with Tucker Carlson, but he's kind of getting embarrassed having these long pregnant pauses where he refuses to directly criticize Israel, but he still has to pretend to be a tough guy being America First. So inch by inch, day by day, that's getting cracked at. It's that contradiction is really getting cracked at. And then it was in Time Magazine, an interview with Trump. They directly asked him, "Are you going to get dragged into a war against Iran?" And this was the first time where he'd ever had that put in those words directly to him. So he instinctively said, "No, I'm not going to get dragged into a war by anybody. Yeah. I might lead the war myself. I might kill Iran tomorrow if I want to, and I'll drag Israel into it. But nobody's dragging me into war." So, these shifts are the planks are being put in between these two. It's happening. And what was it? There was some special boy to Israel, or that was trying to negotiate the I forget the guy's name, but he was a friend of Jared Kushner's, just a normal guy that Trump sent to negotiate the hostage releases. And he said, yeah, Hamas was like very willing to come to the table. And then now what's that guy's name? Austin something or Aaron. But yeah, the Israeli government's going after this guy for just observing that Hamas was willing to come to the table for.
Oh, you're talking about his emissary.
Yeah.
To
not
Hamas,
Witkoff, but the emissary to Hamas.
The second guy, he was actually like really good, even from my perspective. Yeah. That's why he got crucified. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think Israel's overplaying their hand on this, and the more that they're trying to kill any efforts to negotiate, the more that rift between Netanyahu and Trump is going to expand. ThaddeusRussell.substack.com.
Sorry.
Cool. All good. Ready to go to the after show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love Wednesdays. I love Wednesdays because of this show, because of my brilliant co-host who makes me think every time, even when he's being immoral. No one is ever immoral. I'm a postmodernist, remember? Anyway, we're going to go to an amazing after party. We call it the after show, capital T, capital A, because it is, I believe it is the longest or one of the longest podcast after shows on the internet. It's been going since 2019. So 6 years now we've been doing this every single week, basically almost never missed a week. It's the most fun. It's where the fans of Unregistered, of Unreported, students of Unregistered Academy come to hang out and talk and yell and just be relaxed and loose. And if you want to just come and watch this craziness, you can do that too. You don't have to be, you can be completely anonymous. We don't have to know you're there. Anyway, but you should, regardless, support this show right here by becoming a patron, by going right there. See that URL right there underneath Michael's beautiful face, patreon.com/unregistered. Click that shit. I guess you have to copy and paste it, then click. Anyway, click that shit. $5 a month, man. That's all it is. And you will help us a lot. Not a lot. You'll help us like existentially. And we will love you forever. But also check out my new Substack. Right there, thaddeusrussell.substack.com. New, very extensive piece on Winston Churchill, World War II, and how the mythology of World War II has buttressed American foreign policy for the last 80 plus years and has been the basis for what we call the American empire and needs to be questioned in a serious, rigorous way. Go there, thaddeusrussell.substack.com. Michael Weimer, yes, sir.
If you're going to question the post-war consensus, why not question the post-war economic consensus of mass immigration and free trade?
Oh, snap.
Yeah,
Let's go.
It's all connected, you know.
Hey man, we got to have a faculty meeting because I've been thinking about that. No, really,
Yeah.
a course on immigration, the history of immigration would be awesome. Yeah. What's the link again for what, Chris? That's Substack, unregisteredacademy.com and patreon.com/unregistered. Let's do that again. Put patreon.com up.
ThaddeusRussell.substack.com for all the new writings.
Right.
Patreon.com/unregistered for
this
the after show that we're about to go to.
For this to support this show.
This show, and
maybe
then
we should change the name, but anyway, yeah.
Unregisteredacademy.com for all courses and
check out the courses to become a member. Yeah. Awesome. Michael, why are you so brilliant? You suck. It comes so easily to you. Like I have to work at it, but you just like whatever. I'm just like playing kungas during the day, and then I'm just like, oh, here's the most amazing political analysis you've ever heard. It's just my thing. Anyway, all right, man. God bless you and your talent.
Thanks.
I'll see you at the after show.
See you at the after party.
Become a patron. It's a party. It is a party.
After the party is the after party.
Peace out.